Some emotions
Hello,
that
my name is Tanton, and this is my week 3 summary for
while reading and
my
writing
digital
are
story
1,
3.
pride and an increase in their
Hello,
self-esteem. So
my
students
name
will
is
begin
Tanton, and this
to
is my week
see
3
the
summary
progress that they're
for
making
my
and start feeling prideful
digital
of the
story
work
3.
and the effort that they've put forth and seeing
Hello,
it come
my
to
name is
fruition.
Tanton, and this is my week 3 summary
Teachers
for
might start
my
seeing that students
digital
are
story 3.
negotiating. They start realizing that there might be some
Hello,
negotiation
my name is
factors
Tanton, and this is my week
in
3 summary
reading and
for
writing. They
my
might prefer to
digital
read in
story
one language
3.
and write in another, or they might
Hello,
negotiate
my name is
to
Tanton,
not
and this
have
is my week 3
to
summary
work
for
within one
my
language as long.
digital story 3.
Students, as they begin
Hello,
to
my name is
increase their
Tanton, and
self-esteem
this
and
is
their
my
pride
week
and
3
their
summary
abilities
for my
to
digital
read and
story
write
3.
in a certain language, they will
Hello,
have an
my
increase
name is
in
Tanton, and this is my
intrinsic
week
and
3 summary
extrinsic
for my
motivation.
digital
And
story
students
3.
will start
Hello, my name is
feeling
Tanton, and
emotions
this is
around
my
the
week 3
context
summary for
of the
my
situation and
digital story 3.
start seeing
Hello,
where
my
do they
name is Tanton,
prefer
and this is my
reading or
week
where do
3
they prefer
summary for
writing or in
my
what language.
digital
And
story 3.
it might differ with the content
Hello, my
and
name is
subject area as
Tanton,
well.
and this is my week. For the next few slides, I'll be talking about the article, What Motivates Multilingual Children and Youth to Read. So some psychological factors associated with reading that were discussed in this article were motivation, self-concept, self-efficacy, attitudes towards reading, and interests. So they talked a lot about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and that a lot of multilingual learners, when reading in their second language, are more extrinsically motivated at first and more intrinsically motivated in their home language. Self-concept is the idea and beliefs about oneself, who you are, your identity, your abilities, and your roles as a reader. And these are psychological factors that are associated with reading when multilingual learners are learning to read in both languages. Self-efficacy is the ability to perform, your belief in the ability to perform tasks, especially complex tasks, and this is again something that multilingual learners sometimes struggle with their second language. They struggle with their self-efficacy. Attitudes towards reading in either language are psychological factors that are seen, and interests. Students are more interested in things that they have a say in and have some choice in, and interests are directly related to motivation. One of the things that I found really interesting that the article discussed was successful comprehension and what leads to this. Two aspects that lead to successful comprehension are 1, environmental aspects, and 2, experiential aspects. So environmental aspects that were discussed were literally the environment that a student is reading and writing in, be that school or at home, in a park, wherever they may be. Is there noise around? Are there distractions? Is it quiet? Is it peaceful? Is it welcoming? So it talked a lot about that the environmental space needs to be set up for success so that comprehension can take place. The other factors were experiential aspects, which are how a student is literally experiencing the reading. And as they learn to have experiences with reading and writing, their comprehension then begins to increase. Some emotions that multilingual learners will experience while reading and writing are 1, pride and an increase in their self-esteem. So students will begin to see the progress that they're making and start feeling prideful of the work and the effort that they've put forth and seeing it come to fruition. Teachers might start seeing that students are negotiating. They start realizing that there might be some negotiation factors in reading and writing. They might prefer to read in one language and write in another, or they might negotiate to not have to work within one language as long.
students, as they begin to increase their self esteem and their pride and their abilities to read and write in a certain language, they will have an increase in intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And students will start feeling emotions around the context of the situation and um, start seeing where do they prefer reading or where do they prefer writing or in what language. And it might differ with the content and subject area as well. It has long been known that students who are offered choice in learning have increased motivation. This is true for multilingual learners as well. So some areas for choice with multilingual learners would be language. So having students, giving students the choice of which language they want to read in or which language they want to write in. Now you can't do this all the time, but giving time for choice in the language that is being used can help increase motivation. The materials being used, does it have to be a specific reading passage or a specific writing topic, or could there be an area for choice in that as well? And then the modality, could there be chat rooms, could there be games, could there be ebooks, for example? So if the modality can be broadened so that students have an area for choice in that as well, it can also increase reading and writing motivation. For the second reading choice, I chose the article Closing the Enjoyment Gap. And one of the main things that this article talked about um, is the psychosocial factors for L2 reading. And motivation came up again in this article, and that a lot of students, when they lack motivation, they also lack enjoyment within reading and writing. Their attitudes towards reading and writing affect their enjoyment, and then it also, other people's attitudes about it affect their enjoyment. And then their beliefs in themselves and what they are capable of doing. If they don't believe that they are good readers and good writers in their second language, a lot of them then struggle to enjoy the act of reading and writing. In this article, I learned a new term, heritage language. So, this is not a term I was familiar with, but I really like it. And it talks about the heritage language being the language that students learned first culturally. So, if a student's family is from Mexico, their heritage language is Spanish, not just their home language, but who they are within their heritage. Language comes into play. And so, students, when they are learning in their heritage language, some of them are more motivated to read in their heritage language, but this article also talked about that some students lack motivation to read in their heritage language because they don't see a benefit. They see reading in English as a benefit because most of my friends speak English, my teachers speak English, the language that is spoken prolifically in the United States is English, so they see a point to it. But a lot of them don't see a point to it, especially if their heritage language is one that is not commonly spoken in their area. And then digital environments, what ways can technology be used to increase the use of heritage language and for students to see the benefit of using their heritage language? So this um, article talked about like allowing students to use chat rooms or different websites to be able to um, talk to people in their heritage language and see that they can communicate that way with more than just their family and close friends in their like community, but that they can reach outside of their more common community and still be able to use that heritage language and start to begin to realize that there is a purpose to knowing both their heritage language and English. I wanted to go over the study that this article discusses. So there were 58 children, all who spoke Chinese from birth, and They they all were ages 10 to 18 years old during this study, but during the ages of 5 to 7, every single one of them had attended a Chinese community school. And all of these students during their Monday through Friday school weeks attended English only schools. So the study did three different surveys. The first one was a language learning attitudes and effort survey. And essentially, it was focused on the heritage language, meaning what efforts, what attitude do these Chinese speaking students f- feel, and what effort do they put forth when working on learning their heritage language? And then the another survey was a language and social background. So really, it was just to gain information and collect data to determine what languages do the students use by environment. So at school, at their community school, at home, in their neighborhood, with their friends, what language were they using? And then the last survey that they did was a heritage bilingual reading attitude survey. So they were checking for motivation, behaviors, their attitudes towards reading and writing in Chinese and English, looking for both intrinsic and extrinsic motivational factors. So what they found was that students the majority of the students felt like they put more effort into their heritage language learning when they were outside of school, because they felt like when they were inside of school, they were supposed to be reading and writing in English, everything was in English, and so they didn't see a point in putting forth a lot of effort in Chinese. But when they're at the community school or at home, they felt like that was the right time to work on their heritage language. They realized that as students age, they begin to see the importance of learning their heritage language. That younger students felt like English needed to be their only language, and they didn't see a lot of point in putting forth effort into Chinese. But as they aged, they began to realize that there is a point in learning your heritage language and being able to use it. And then the last thing that they realized was that students who had the opportunity to use digital environments and digital tools to learn their heritage language increased their heritage language motivational factors. So this research study said that a lot of this had been done with adults, but there wasn't a lot of information regarding children with heritage language and motivational factors. Um, so it was interesting to learn what these children felt about their heritage language, and that what helps them to feel motivation to continue to learn that home language. Thanks for watching.